Yo, welcome back everybody. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the best Warzone Season 4 settings for us console users, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, S, whatever, right? Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because I know the majority of Warzone players are still on console. Like, I know there's a lot of people on PC, but the majority, I'll say like around 60, 70% are still on console. And I feel like a lot of us console players don't get as much recognition. I don't see as many console videos out on YouTube or anything like that. There is some, but not as many. There's mainly more for like PC and stuff. But it's time to show us our console gang some love, boys. So in my opinion, these are the settings that I rock with. I am on PS5 now. I used to be on PS4, but I switched over to PS5 when it came out. Not huge of a difference, to be honest. I'm kind of just been waiting on that FOV and etc. But these right here are my controller settings. By the way, I am on controller too, so this is gonna be applied to like controller players also, and stuff like that. Now, my controller settings I run is all preference. Controller settings are all preference, but this is the ones that I run and that I recommend. The one thing that I recommend, it doesn't matter what way that you pick. You want to go flip. I want you guys to try out flip. Now, flip is when you use the top bumpers to shoot. So instead of using the triggers, you'll use the bumpers. I recommend this for any controller player. It just makes shooting way more faster. You don't have to like that little delay from when you get to the point on where it starts shooting or aiming down sight. So I totally recommend going for flip. Now, in order to go to flip, you just press triangle, square or X on Xbox, and then it goes flip. Now, I personally do tactical flip because I play claw. Claw is like this, where I use my index finger for X, square, and circle. Many of you guys might not like flip. You guys might like I know a lot of people do bumper jumper, or bumper jumper tactical or whatever. Now this, I don't know. I never ever tried it before. You jump with L2, so it can make those bunny hops around corners easier if you don't like playing claw. So try out those out. I know a lot of people have been switching to bumper jumper flip or bumper jumper tactical, whatever is your preference, but I personally just like tactical better. I know people still play on default, but personally tactical is my favorite. You just slide with the right stick, and it just makes life way more easier for me, you know what I'm saying? Stick layout default, invert look disabled. Deadzone. Now, Deadzone is a very big setting for controller players. Now, Deadzone, if you have controller drift, you want to make sure that you're not on a super low Deadzone. So I know on PC you could adjust that, but on us console players, you can't really adjust that in the PlayStation console, right? On PC you can, but not on console, not on PlayStation or Xbox. Now, Deadzone, you want to go around. I personally like 0.06. Now, I actually used to rock 0.25 or 0.15, like a way higher Deadzone, but then I started to realize that it wasn't as responsive. Now, Deadzone is basically how much you move your stick is actually gonna move on your screen, right? So let's say if I was playing on 0.2 Deadzone, right? If I move my stick a little bit, my right stick, it's not gonna move. But if I'm on 0.6, if I move my left stick just a tiny bit, like where you can barely even see it, you get a little slightly move. So it'll be a little bit more responsive. Now, it's way more responsive. It's so much better at 0.06. Now, the reason I lowered it down is because I did get a new controller, and this one does not have any controller drift, so I kind of get to use that nice advantage of being as smooth as possible with a lower Deadzone. Now, you want to make sure, try it out, go into a game, and put this to 0.0. If you don't get any controller drift, then you could really use 0.0, but I doubt that your controller doesn't have any drift. So do it until your controller doesn't move anymore, you know what I'm saying? Put it, if it still moves on 6 but doesn't move on 7, then, you know, boom, 7, do 7, you know what I mean? That's what I recommend. But then there's also some theories out there that the higher the Deadzone is, the more aim assist you get. Now, this is actually true. It does make sense. You will get a tiny bit more better aim assist, but you have a tiny bit less control. So just try it out. Try out many different Deadzone types. I highly recommend to play around with this setting, because this setting could make a really big change on your aim. You know what I'm saying? Now sensitivity. I've been talking about sense for a very long time. I used to rock 4, y'all. I know I used to do 4, and ever since I switched back to 6, I just felt way more better on 6. Everything's so much better on 6. It's not super slow like 4, but it's neither super fast. Now for our console players, I do not recommend anything over 10. I know people play on like 20, 15, 17. You know, if you can handle that, by all means do you. I know what it feels like to play on like 16. I used to play on 16 and 13. Even tried out 20 for a whole day. I could do it, but my personal preference, where I do my best, where my aim is my best, where my control or my sensitivity is my best, is at 6. Now 6 is actually where most pros play on PC, and I fully understand why. You know, so much smoother. Everything's is easier to see on 6, because when you're really high, that view, when you're turning around really quick, it kind of blurs out a little bit more at a higher sensitivity. So I personally recommend 6. I think that's my go-to that I'm gonna stay with at 6 for now. Maybe move up 1 or go down 1, but just 6 is the one. You know what I mean? Now my ADS sensitivity, another big settings you guys should be playing around with. I go 0.85 now. Since I am on a lower sensitivity, I tend to do around this, or maybe 0.89, 0.890. You want to use the same for both, so you don't, you know, it's consistent. It's for low zoom or high zoom. You want to keep them both the same, kind of like with the regular horizontal and vertical. You know what I'm saying? So I do 0.85. Now ADS is basically when you're ADSing, and when you move the right stick, how fast it moves. I personally recommend going less than 1, but nothing less than 0.5 though, you know. So between 0.5 and 1 is my go-to, where I recommend. This is my best comfortable spot, 0.85 for me. Aim response curve type, I actually moved this to standard. Now this, most players play on dynamic, most pros play on dynamic, but there is what's his name, Destroy, a really good Call of Duty player, Warzone player, I mean. I think he plays on linear, so I don't know how. It's more of a mouse and keyboard type of feel for controller when you play on linear. Standard is just like this. It kind of is a little bit hard how to explain a response curve type. It's basically when you're when you hit fired, and how your aim responses to the way you curve it. I don't know, it's super weird. You just use whichever one, and whichever you feel the best, whichever you do better at, just stick with that one, because it's very weird. This setting is a little bit confusing with the setting. If you don't know anything about it, just put it at dynamic or standard. It really doesn't really, it's not gonna change like a whole lot, but you can tell like a little bit of difference whenever you're getting to aim at somebody and gonna get in the gunfight, stuff like that, you know. Now use reload behavior contextual tab. This is the setting that you guys see on how us controller players pick up things really quick with one tap. So I highly recommend using contextual tab just to loot around way more faster. Also, another huge one that I recommend is armor play behavior. Make sure you guys put this to apply all. Regularly is apply 1. Make sure y'all boys put it to apply all. It makes things so much better. When you're plating up, you don't gotta be holding triangle. You just put it once, and you can let go, and then you'll keep plating up until it's fully plated up. So I highly recommend armor plate up to be apply all. Slide behavior, I do tap. Some people do hold. I personally do tap. Is you slide cancel way more better with tap. Instead of holding the right stick, you know what I mean, all you do is just tap it, and then you start sliding right away. It makes slide canceling way more easier, you know what I'm saying. And then another big one, which some people might not like, is automatic tactical sprint. Usually is on disabled. I recommend automatic tac sprint. Like I said, it's a nice combination with slide behavior and automatic tactical sprint. You move around the map way more quicker now. You know, last year not many people ever changed the settings, but now, you know, things has kind of like evolved a little bit, changed in Warzone, and the pace has changed a little bit in Warzone, especially in like quads. People run around more quicker and stuff like that, and this is a way to like keep up with the pace of it, you know what I'm saying. Now general here, my brightness is 49. I made a whole video on like brightness settings and how to make the game look better for season 4. But this I'm gonna just give it like a little overview. Brightness, I have it at 49. You can really stay with 50, but 49, it kind of makes the game look a tiny bit more better. It gets rid of that haze, that like dullness and stuff. Full grain, you want to make sure you put that to 0. Colorblind type, my personal favorite is Deadzone. It's kind of like the regular one, but it makes the colors just more juicier and vibrant, a little bit easier to see. Colorblind target, you want to make sure they're onto both, so you could actually see it in your game. Motion blur, please turn this off. Please turn that off. On demand texture streaming, it doesn't really, I never really felt any difference. I've even tested it out for a couple games, didn't really feel any difference at all. So play around with this setting. Some people said that if you have this enabled and onto full gigabytes, which I think it's like 50, something like that. Oh no, it's 64. Okay, if you have that, supposedly it makes latency a little bit lower, but I'm not sure. You know, don't take my word for it. That's what I heard on my video that I made about that feature in the comments. Mini map shape, of course, you boys want to make sure that it's square. You see a little bit more in your map. And yeah, that's basically it for general. Now audio is a big thing. I made a whole separate video about audio also. My go-to is for the best audio is boost high. I did try boost low and stuff like that. It's just not, they don't give the best sound in my opinion. But with boost high, I do lower the master volume because everything gets boosted up way more louder with boost high. So I just lower down the master volume to 60, 50, around there. If your headphones don't get loud, then by all means put this at 100. But with my headphones, I have the Cloud 2s. They tend to get really loud, so I choose 60 right here. It's just like a nice flow for me. Music, you want to have that down. Dialogue is when people are calling like UAVs, you call in a UAV in radar, whatever. Have that to like 25, little bit. Effects, you want to make sure this is at 100. This is like people that are reloading next to you, or enemy and stuff like that. So you want to make sure you have that to 100. Juggernaut music, it's just distracting. I personally don't like it, so I have it disabled. Hit mark sound effects is on personal preference. Some people play with it none. Some people like the classic hit marker sound, and some people just like the regular modern. I like the modern one, so I keep it to MW. Mono audio, by all means, do not enable this. Make sure that you don't have this enabled, because then you won't be able to hear the direction of where the enemy's coming from, if they're coming from your right side or left. The only reason that I see the only reason why anyone will ever run mono is if you only have like one earbud that works or one side of your headphone that works, then yes, you want to put mono audio on. But if both sides work, just keep it disabled. And yeah, this is basically all it for audio here. Ain't really too crazy, but this count, crossplay, you know, yada yada, that's basically all it for the settings. Really just the main thing was here in the controller settings. These are the most important settings here for console. Sadly, us console players don't have like the super big FOV and all those other settings and stuff like that, but I've tried my best with this video to try to help us console gang out. And yeah, boys, I don't really got nothing else to say. Hope you boys had a great day, y'all. Let me know what y'all think about my settings and if they help you, and I'm out.